welcome to Seniors Count. I'm your host, Tula Mall. On our show, we believe that you are the foundation on which Boston was built. So our goal is to connect you to resources, benefits, and information to enhance your life. Thank you for joining us. Today we welcome Mark Byrne and Christy Waybright from Friendship Works. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're very excited to have you. Why don't we start by telling us a little bit about Friendship Works for those people who don't know.
Lovely. Friendship Works is an organization that started 31 years ago now. We just celebrated our 30th year last year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we started as Matchup Interfaith Volunteers. We're an organization that matches volunteers with older adults in Boston and Brookline, basically anywhere where the mayor is the mayor. We have a variety of different kinds of services, but everything is completely free. And our mission is really about addressing social isolation. It's the sort of thing that far too many older adults in Boston and Brookline don't have family or friends around. And with age and age-related frailty or physical mobility issues, sometimes people can't get out and make the connections like they used to. And so our volunteers are people who, we have volunteers from 18 to 80, and who visit and make those sort of neighborly connections. We have volunteers who play chess together, we have volunteers who play tennis, we have volunteers who talk, who go for walks together. It's really a wonderful, beautiful program.
Wow. How do you do matchups, or just tell me a little bit about that process?
Yeah, well, Mark is actually, he's one of our direct service coordinators of our medical escort program, and so he could tell you exactly what we do.
Yeah, sure. So actually, before I even worked here, I was a volunteer as a friendly visitor, so I kind of had a lot of firsthand experience, you know, in the field, so to speak. I think that makes it sound a little bit more intense than it is. But really, it's a wonderful program. What it is, friendly visiting, is just simple neighbor-to-neighbor bonding, really. And Christy mentioned, you know, playing chess together, playing tennis together, and that's really what we're trying to drive at, is not just putting two random people together who might or might not get along, let's be honest, but instead being very intentional and saying, oh, this person shares an interest with this person. That's something that they can bond over. So one of my favorite stories really is there's a man who loved to play chess, and he lived in a building with a bunch of other people who didn't really share his passion for the game of chess. We matched him with a young man who's a college student, and in his dorm, no one really shared his passion for playing chess, but put them together, and it was wonderful. They were, you know, perfectly matched for each other, very competitive with one another, but great friends.
Yeah.
And so really those are the connections that we're looking for, is very organic friendships that we can foster and carry forward. So it's fun. It's not, it's nothing too, you know, intense in that it's not hard to do. Anyone can do it. You show up, you're yourself, and you make a huge difference. Yeah. Or as, you know, a recipient, an elder receiving the service, you're just, again, yourself, and you're making a big difference, and you're being a friend to someone who is visiting you or going for walks with you. And so that's one of our services. We have a few others.
Great. Yeah, I was going to ask. Tell us about the other services.
Sure. Well, I coordinate our medical escort program, which I'd be happy to go into a lot more detail about.
We'll get into that.
So we'll get there. But we also have a program called our Friendly Helping Program, and that's for short-term assistance.
Okay.
So it's a little bit limited. It's not, you know, a weekly chore service. What it is for tasks that you might need a little extra help with. But that can be accomplished in a couple of hours. So things like gardening, for example, with the weather finally getting nice again, that might be a popular request. And on top of that, you know, anything else related to, well, this was one that I actually went on myself. Someone got some IKEA furniture and needed some help putting it together, so I went and helped that woman. We once had someone who needed a second opinion. She was going shoe shopping, so we found a fashionable volunteer to go with her on that one. Yeah. So it's fun.
So it's very task-oriented,
very much.
At least as the friendly helping. But it sounds like even the friendship matchups are very, not maybe task, but not skills, experience or passion oriented. I'm guessing you guys do a pretty thorough, like, tell me what your hobbies are, on both ends, as far as the older adult and as far as the volunteer.
Absolutely.
And then you see where there's some connection there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to make matches that will take on lives of their own and become friendships. That's really what it is. Things that we can set it up and then let it run free, and just like, you know, me or Christy are friends, we want these matches to kind of have the same relationships.
Yeah. So we have a video that I think really illustrates maybe the situation in a city where, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, that there is isolation and why that happens. So why don't we cut to that, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more.
Imagine growing older, alone. Your spouse or partner has passed on, as well as most of your friends and relatives. Others are distant or unable to get out. With the frailty of age, the simplest tasks are no longer possible. Most days, the only voice you hear comes from a television. How would you cope with the isolation?
I don't think we're aware of how much we depend on other people in our lives. And often older adults don't have somebody in their life, certainly not on a daily basis. And that's where Friendship Works comes in. To be that family, to be that friend, to help out, to ensure that you can keep as much independence as you can.
The cornerstone of Friendship Works is the Friendly Visitor Program. Volunteers are carefully matched with elders, providing some much-welcomed company on a regular basis.
Hello. How are you?
Good to see you.
Great to see you. When I open that door, it's a breath of fresh air. And no matter what my mood might be, it's a hi. It's really great.
She's a really fantastic lady. She's very educated, progressive, very fun lady. We can talk about anything from current events to politics to most everything under the sun, and we're right on the same page, which a lot of times a 90-year-old and a 30-year-old might not be.
Mr. Bridges is very unique. His wife passed away probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and he has no family here other than one brother who's an elderly person as well who can't get out. I knew that he would benefit from a visit on a weekly basis.
All right, this is good to go. You don't know what to do if it wasn't been so kind of you, Mr. Bridges. Okay.
This is something that I would like to do forever. I've learned so much from the different matches that I've had. To give of yourself and your time to someone else is invaluable. It really is.
Video just showed two examples of a matchup. One of them was, it seemed more like a friendship, right? So they chatted about things, and the second one seemed more was task-based, and it was so sweet how he said, "I don't know what I'd do without you."
Yeah.
I mean, that it just broke my heart a little bit.
I love that video because I think it sort of kind of gets at the heart rather quickly of what this is about. It's what Mark said. It's really it's natural in us to make social connections and to be friends with each other. And sometimes for various reasons that just becomes difficult, and that's where we come in. We have programs where their matchup, it's long-term, volunteers commit for a year, they visit each week. It's more of that social relationship like you were talking about. We also have we have a variety of different kinds of programs that Mark didn't mention that sort of focus on different things. So we have a Pet Pals program where people and their dogs are trained and screened, and then they go and visit nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and they also will visit people in their home if sometimes people had a relationship with a pet or an animal but can no longer keep that up. And we also have a Music Works program, and actually right now this is a new pilot program where volunteers are matched with elders and they do a variety of music-related sort of things. They might have jam sessions. They might play together. Sometimes they'll get an iPod for the elder, and they'll load it with their favorite music, and they'll talk about it. And right now, this is we're piloting it in the neighborhood in Jamaica Plain, and so we're definitely looking for folks who are interested in volunteering. Who you don't have to be a musician, but if you have a musical inclination or interested, it's a really great way to connect with your neighbors. So.
Yeah, so it can be, like you said, even just like generally about music. If someone's interested in jazz, they can talk about jazz and connect with someone else about that. Absolutely. So you're looking for volunteers. Yeah. Are you looking all over the city? You mentioned Jamaica Plain as far as the music program goes, but can you tell us a little bit more?
We definitely have some elders waiting, people who are just waiting for someone to come and sort of make this connection with them. And you see there, sometimes it can feel vulnerable at first to be open to this.
Absolutely.
but I think the feedback we get is that people are so glad when they did it. And sometimes we'll have matches where the coordinator will go and make the match and introduce two people, and they'll just hit it off so well that they're like, go away. We don't need you anymore. We can take care of this. We have some elders waiting in Hyde Park as well. So people who live in Hyde Park, who are interested in volunteering for that program. And Mark can tell you a little bit more about our medical escort program.
Great, yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So our medical escort program, which I coordinate, is really designed to improve elders' access to healthcare. So it's not a transportation program, but it's really designed for folks who need that extra help. So Boston has a lot of options for transportation for seniors, and actually if you are someone who is looking for transportation specifically, on our website at FW4elders.org, you can find a transportation guide that we've put together.
That's a great guide. It's really a great guide. It's very comprehensive. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's good. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Took a lot of work. But yeah, so if though that transportation piece really is not, the missing piece for you, if what you're really looking for is, for example, if you're someone who is blind or has some issues with your vision, and you can get to the hospital, but then once you're there, what do you do? How do you get where you're going?
Hospitals are complicated.
They are. I like to say the same people who designed the roads in Boston must have designed the hospitals because they're equally as confusing. But really, once you get there, just having that extra friend with you, and it is a friend, really. I am quoting an elder when I say this, but someone once said to me, I thought this would just be a convenience for me, but really it's a pleasure. I love having my volunteer with me. We get along so well. And really that's what it is. It can be because you have some sort of physical impairment with your mobility or vision, hearing, otherwise, that's preventing you from getting to the doctor. Or it could be you're just anxious about the whole experience. And I know, when doctors talk at me a mile a minute, I just say yes and nod my head and pretend like I understand what they're saying. And I wish I had someone with me too at times. So it can be really for either need. And having a volunteer will just meet you at your home, come with you in the transportation, and then afterwards wait with you and go back home with you to make sure you get back home safe.
So the medical escort, it doesn't necessarily have to bring their own car.
No.
But they can, I'm guessing. That's
Yes.
possibly an option. But it's more about accompaniment,
Exactly.
right? So joining them, sitting in that dreaded waiting room, who knows how long you'll wait. And then, so I didn't realize they can go into the room with them. Is that what you were implying, or?
So it's customized depending on what the
Got
need
it.
is and what you're looking for if you're receiving the service. If you want someone to come into the waiting room with you and that's the support that you need, you want someone to help you ask the questions, yes, that's absolutely a possibility. If you just want them to help get you up there because you have some sort of physical need, but then wait in the waiting room, you don't really want them intruding on your doctor-patient relationship, then that's also fine.
Okay. So, and you'd mentioned when we were watching the clip that you're looking for some volunteers with language capacity.
Yes,
So tell me
I'm
a little
sorry.
bit about that.
So in Jamaica Plain, so we have neighborhood offices. Right now we have 2 offices. We're in the I think very final stages of starting another office that would serve the South End and Roxbury.
Okay.
But we have an office in Jamaica Plain called La Cadena de Amistad, and it serves Spanish and English-speaking elders. So for the Music Works program, I should have mentioned that then. I'm glad you brought it up again. If you're interested in music, but especially if you're bilingual in Spanish and English, we have folks waiting that would really appreciate that. And the language can increase the sense of isolation. It can,
absolutely.
sort of linguistic isolation there. So mainly in that area.
Okay, so mainly in Jamaica Plain for Spanish-speaking volunteers. And you mentioned a little bit that Friendship Works is expanding. So tell us a little bit about that. So I didn't realize you guys had offices in different neighborhoods.
Yeah. So when Friendship Works started, it was an interfaith coalition. It was a group of faith communities and community organizations that came together and said, we know there's a need here, and we have volunteers in our congregations who would be willing to meet this need. And so since then it's grown, and now we get our volunteers from all over Boston and Brookline, and some even out of the area. But our neighborhood offices really try to hold on to those sort of kind of grassroots feel of Friendship Works, where we're matching neighbors to neighbors with people who live in the same neighborhoods.
Yeah.
So our we have 3 offices right now. other than the central office, we have the JP office. We have, I'm sorry, we have 2 offices right now. And see, I'm so excited for the office in the South End, which will be housed at Union United Methodist Church. So we're very excited about that partnership. And then we have an Alston Brighton office that's at Presentation School Foundation there. And a really interesting way to become familiar with all of our offices, if you're interested in volunteering, interested in knowing more, we have our first annual, so hopefully there will be many, many more, walkathon.
Oh,
so
great.
It's Friendship Walks. It's going to be on May 15th. I think you might have some information that could tell people more if
Yeah,
they're
there's
interested.
a flyer that they're going to put up.
But there are 3 different routes, and they sort of connect our different offices. So we're going to have people
That's a
walking
long
these different
walk.
routes. One route is pretty long.
Okay, yeah. Alston, Brighton.
You don't have to walk. You don't have to walk all 3 routes. One walk is a little over 5 miles. Another walk just to the south end from our main office is about, it's a little under a mile, I think. And then we have another walk that's like 3 miles. So we have options for everyone, which is kind of how our programs work too. So there's the information there.
Great.
And if you're interested in attending this event somehow, but you're not really able to walk, we're also having an after party afterwards in Alston Brighton at our office there. So you're welcome to attend that as well.
So the walkathon is May 15th, and there's different options. So the maybe a less than a mile or more, or up to 5 miles.
Exactly,
Correct. And what else can you tell us about that? There's an after party at the central location.
Or it's in Alston Brighton.
Oh, in Alston Brighton. Okay. And so people have to register, or sign up, or what are they looking for?
If you can sort of tell on the bottom there, the crowd rise, you can register there to walk. It's absolutely free to register. If you feel like making a donation or asking your friends and family to donate, that's wonderful. We're completely sort of a standalone agency. We do our fundraising every single year, and so all of this goes just towards sort of our basic
Programming,
operations.
yeah.
So, but you don't have to. We'd love to just see a lot of people out for the walk, and so.
Is there a phone number that, by any chance, that people can call
Absolutely.
for maybe they don't see that or they don't have access to a computer?
Yep, absolutely. So just give us a call at our main number, which is 617-482-1510. In case you can't tell, I give out that number a lot. A lot of practice with that one. But yeah, absolutely give us a call if you're interested and we can give you more information.
Great. So you're looking for volunteers in many different aspects, right? So you're looking for volunteers to just do the friendship, like the connecting. Is that what's the name?
It's called Friendly Visiting.
Friendly Visiting. Friendly Helpers.
Yeah.
Medical escort.
Yep.
The pet. What was the pet one called?
They're called Pet Pals.
Pet Pals.
So if you have a dog that you think, a dog or a cat, we've actually had I think we've had a gerbil and a bird at various times. So just have to pass the screening process.
Yeah. And there's those little piglets now. I see everyone walking around.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys have a little piglet?
We can have a pig. We
That'd
don't
be
have
really
one now,
cute.
but
Yeah.
They
I've
just
seen
have
those. Those are
just
cute.
as long as they meet some behavioral
Absolutely.
standards, really. If they're well-behaved animals, I believe they are qualified.
And so for people to learn or to check in about volunteering, they would call that number, right?
Yes.
Or they can go to the website.
Yep, and can I give that number one more time?
Absolutely,
So that number one more time, if you need to get your pen, is 617-482-1510.
And what can people expect as far as, I guess, the signing up, like the expectations? Like, I'm assuming there's an application, and then there must be some sort of conversation or interview.
Sure, for volunteering?
For
Yep.
volunteering.
So there is an application, which you would also get at our website, which is, and again, if you don't have access to a computer, but you would like to volunteer, you can give us a call as well. But the application can be found at our website, fw4elders.org. Simple, fill that out, send it to us. We'll contact you with the next steps. There is a training. We'll also interview you, and we need to check a couple of references, run a Corey background check on you,
That makes
because you will
sense.
be going into people's homes. So we want to make sure all of our volunteers are safe. But yeah, once you do that, we'll chat with you. We'll see what you're interested in, and we'll hopefully go from there.
Great. And then I had another question. So then they're matched up, and then they basically go on their way. Is there check-ins, or how does that happen? How do you guys check in with both the older adult and the volunteer?
So just to add to that, each of the elders who someone is going for a home visit, a program coordinator would have gone and visited the elder's home and make sure that it would be a good match. And then the program coordinator makes the initial match. So they would connect the volunteer, they would make the introduction, And then after that, our program coordinators are always available depending on the programs. Some programs are more in touch with their volunteers. So with medical escort, with some of our shorter term, some of the task-oriented sort of assistance that volunteers offer, they may be in touch every time that there's an activity that they're involved in. But we have ongoing volunteer training, support options. I think generally we check in after the first couple visits, and then usually 3, 6, and then 9 months, and then kind of see where it goes after that.
So you had mentioned that you're looking for volunteers pretty much, so it's neighbor to neighbor, right? So, but what if someone works, like, I don't know, let's say someone works in the Jamaica Plain area and they're looking to do some volunteering after work, is that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, we have volunteers who come from outside of Boston.
Okay.
I think that, Boston is a city of neighborhoods, but I think that there's still a feeling of connection. So it's not just exclusive. You don't have to live down the block. There is something special about that, but you don't have to.
Yeah. So we're almost at the end of the show. Can you give us an anecdote or maybe a couple of stories of, maybe some reactions you've had from both the volunteer and the elders? I mean, we watched the video with them, but maybe something that you guys experienced. You said you had been a volunteer.
Yes.
So maybe start with that.
Actually, I'd love to tell you a story about a medical escort and just to highlight a little bit about how extraordinary our volunteers are. I think this is a really great story, and all of our volunteers are amazing, and I can't really stress that enough, and I have to thank them on the air, a little bit.
Shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. But there was a story, and I just found this out afterwards. The elder had given me a call after her appointment and said, "Oh my God, my volunteer was amazing." So I had her tell the story, and she said, the doctor, she was going in for an eye appointment, and the doctor said, "You need this special type of light bulb to help you see better." So after the appointment, she asked the volunteer, can we stop at CVS and grab one of these light bulbs? So the volunteer, even though she had some place to be, still said, "Yes, we'll still go there." So elder said, I gave her $10. She came back with the light bulb. The volunteer went into the store alone because the elder wasn't as mobile. So she came back with the light bulb. The elder said later she found out that the light bulb cost $13, but the volunteer didn't say anything. On top of that, she found out the volunteer that day, her car was in the shop, so she actually rented a car to get to the elder to do this at all. So really just absolutely incredible people. The most reliable, group of individuals I know is thankfully volunteering for me right now.
Just shows the kind of connection that's happening, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like between the people.
And they take it very seriously, and it's a very, I would say, high level of volunteering, and they're just so on top of it, and you couldn't ask more for these people to be doing this, again, for free and just in their free time. So that's a wonderful story.
Yeah, that is a wonderful story.
For sure.
So I don't know, do you have a story to tell, or?
Do you know, one of my favorite stories is, it was a pet pal story. We had a gentleman who was Polish. He had been in the country something like 40 years and was on hospice. And his sort of last request was that he would have an animal come visit him. He especially wanted a cat.
Yeah.
He'd had cats, and so we ended up matching him with a volunteer who was also Polish, and incidentally, the cat was Polish. And the cat had been a rescue cat from Poland, so at the end of his life, he got this amazing, few months, but just precious months with a Polish cat and speaking Polish. It was just, and the volunteer is still connected with the man's daughter. It's just one of those just very
You couldn't have
touching
asked
stories.
for a better, a better situation.
Yeah, and we also have volunteers who have been matched for over a decade. Wow. That doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, we're just like, oh, yay! It's sort of unquantifiable, the amount of difference that can make in someone's life.
Well, amazing. Why don't you give that phone number one more time?
Sure. So that's 617-482-1510.
So thank you guys so much for coming today. We learned so much, and I hope you all the best.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
We're so honored to be here on your last day.
Yes,
so
I was
thank
just
you.
going to announce to our audience. So today is my last show. I will be moving on from the Elderly Commission and Seniors Count. So just want to tell everyone out there and in here that it's been a great experience, and I have truly enjoyed interviewing all sorts of different guests and doing all sorts of fun activities here on the show. So on behalf of Mayor Martin J. Walsh and our Commissioner Emily Shea, I want to wish you all a wonderful life and take care.